Westeros is a continent located in the far west of the known world. It is separated from the continent of Essos by a strip of water known as the Narrow Sea. Most of the action in Game of Thrones takes place in Westeros. Author of the series George R.R. Martin has stated that Westeros is based on medieval Britain, but as a full-sized continent that is roughly the same size as real-life South America. Historically, most of Westeros used to be divided into 7 different kingdoms, including all lands south of the Wall in the distant north. After Aegon's conquest, the kingdoms were all unified into one realm, but the common name persisted. The title of the monarch on the Iron Throne was Lord of the 7 Kingdoms. The two names are often used interchangeably, though the lands beyond the Wall were never actually part of the 7 Kingdoms. People or things from Westeros are referred to as Westerosi. Westeros is bordered to the west by the Sunset Sea, to the south by the Summer Sea, and to the east by the Narrow Sea and Shivering Sea. The northern edges of the continent have not been charted, but are believed to extend to the northern polar ice cap. The continent shares similar geography and geometry to the real-life Isle of Great Britain, and is narrow, about 900 miles wide at its widest point, but long, extending for almost 2,000 miles from the Summer Sea to the wall that marks the northern border of the 7 Kingdoms. The extent of the wildling lands beyond the Wall are unknown. The continent's terrain varies immensely. There are significant mountain ranges, such as the Mountains of the Moon in the Vale of Arryn, the Red Mountains of Dorne, and the Frostfangs. There are also several extensive river networks, most notably the Trident and its numerous tributaries, but also the Blackwater Rush, the White Knife, the Mander, and the Greenblood. The climate varies between extremes of heat and cold across the large continent. The north is the only region in which snowfall is common, even in the middle of the years-long summers. Beyond the Wall, the temperature becomes even lower and hostile, forming the taiga woodlands of the Haunted Forest, reaching into the truly polar regions of the Land of Always Winter, in the unmapped farthest north. In the far south, the terrain becomes hotter and more arid, and Dorne contains the continent's only deserts. Notable offshore islands include Bear Island, Skagos, the Iron Islands, Tarth, Dragonstone, and the Arbor. The continent is also home to immense woodlands, such as the Haunted Forest beyond the Wall. South of the Wall, within the 7 Kingdoms, there are 3 major forested regions: the Wolfswood around Winterfell, the Kingswood south of King's Landing and straddling the northern border of the Stormlands, and the Rainwood in the southern half of the same region. Numerous smaller wooded areas dot the continent. Westeros is separated from the eastern continent of Essos by the Narrow Sea and also by the island chain known as the Stepstones. According to myth, the Stepstones are a remnant of an ancestral land bridge linking Westeros and Essos together, destroyed in a cataclysm more than 10,000 years ago. As well as the vast eastern continent of Essos, other lands are known to exist. The Summer Isles lie to the south of Westeros, and there is regular trade between the islands and the 7 Kingdoms. A forbidding, mostly unexplored continent called Sithorios is also known to exist to the southeast across the Summer Sea, but there is little contact between it and Westeros. Some islands are known to exist in the Sunset Sea to the west of Westeros, but the true extent of this ocean is unknown. To the east of northern Westeros lies the island of Ibben, home to traders and whalers, who occasionally trade with the 7 Kingdoms and the free cities of Essos. The 7 Kingdoms are divided into 9 administrative regions, 7 of which were independent kingdoms before Aegon's conquest. Each region, except the Crownlands, is ruled by a great house, who in turn are commanded by the king on the Iron Throne. These regions are the North, ruled by House Stark from the castle of Winterfell. Bastards of noble birth born in the north take the surname Snow. The principal port and city of the north is White Harbor. The north is the largest of the regions of Westeros, but also the most sparsely populated, due to the harshness of the long winter. The north also includes the Wall and the lands administered by the Night's Watch, which are technically independent but are almost always thought of in conjunction with the north. The north is the only region in Westeros to govern itself independently of the king of the Undulls and First Men. The Vale of Arryn, ruled by House Arryn from the Castle of the Eyrie. Bastards of noble birth born in the Vale take the surname Stone. The principal port and city of the Vale is Gulltown. The Vale is dominated and mostly covered by the Mountains of the Moon and its offshoot chains. Its borders are prowled by hostile hill tribes. The Riverlands, ruled by House Tully from the Castle of Riverrun. Bastards of noble birth born in the Riverlands take the surname Rivers. The principal ports of the Riverlands are Seaguard, Saltpans, and Maidenpool. Notable towns include Stony September. The Riverlands are dominated by the mighty River Trident and its numerous tributaries, including the Tumblestone. The Riverlands, lying close to the center of the continent, have been the site for battles and conflicts throughout the history of Westeros. Once an independent kingdom, they were overrun by the Ironborn a century before Aegon's invasion, and are thus not counted as an eighth kingdom, despite their significant size and population. The Riverlands are, as their name suggests, one of the most fertile and populous regions in Westeros, which is in many ways the only reason they have been consistently able to recover from the frequent wars that cross their borders. The Iron Islands, ruled by House Greyjoy from the Castle of Pike on the island of the same name. Bastards of noble birth born on the Iron Islands take the surname Pike. The major islands of the chain are Great Wyke, Old Wyke, Harlaw, Blacktide, Orkmont, Saltcliffe, and Pike itself. The Iron Islands are rain-lashed and cold, home to a hardy warrior race known as the Ironborn. They live for warfare and reaving, and are the most troublesome and rebellious of the Iron Throne subjects. The Westerlands, ruled by House Lannister from the Castle of Casterly Rock. Bastards of noble birth born in the Westerlands take the surname Hill. The principal city and port of the Westerlands is Lannisport. The Westerlands are noted for their hills and low mountains, which are rich in silver and gold, providing House Lannister and their vassals with immense wealth. The Crownlands, ruled directly by the king on the Iron Throne from the city of King's Landing in the Red Keep, the largest city in Westeros, and the capital of the Seven Kingdoms. Bastards of noble birth born in the Crownlands take the surname Waters. Other notable townships of the Crownlands include Duskendale and Rosby. The Crownlands stretch along the shores of Blackwater Bay and across several islands in the Narrow Sea, such as Dragonstone, Driftmark, and Claw Isle. The islands are separately administered from Dragonstone. The Crownlands were never a kingdom before the Conquest. Control of the region fluctuated between various neighboring kingdoms throughout history. The Reach, ruled by House Tyrell from the Castle of Highgarden. Bastards of noble birth born in the Reach take the surname Flowers. The principal city and port of the Reach is Old Town, the second largest city of Westeros. The Reach is the second largest region of Westeros, and by far the most fertile and populous, allowing the Tyrells to field vast armies, and also results in them being wealthier than any other family but the Lannisters. The Reach also includes several offshore islands, such as the Shield Islands and the Arbor. The Stormlands, ruled by House Baratheon from the Castle of Storm's End. Bastards of noble birth born in the Stormlands take the surname Storm. The Stormlands include several offshore islands, most notably Estermont and Tarth. It ranks moderately among the other regions in terms of population and wealth. The Stormlands are racked by frequent storms off the Narrow Sea and experience significant rainfall. The Stormlands are also one of the most densely wooded areas in Westeros, particularly south of the Neck. It contains not only the Rainwood, which covers the southern half of the Stormlands, but also shares much of the Kingswood, spilling across the northern border with the Crownlands. As a result, its climate is, in general, that of a temperate rainforest. Dorne, ruled by House Martell from the castle of Sunspear. Bastards of noble birth born in Dorne take the surname Sand. The principal ports of Dorne are Sunspear itself, and the planky town at the mouth of the Greenblood. The people of Dorne are isolated from the rest of Westeros by the Sea of Dorne and the Red Mountains, giving them a greater sense of national identity than most of the other peoples of the Seven Kingdoms, even more than the Ironborn and the Northmen. Since Robert's rebellion and the murder of several prominent Dornish nobles during the sack of King's Landing, the Dornish have pursued a more isolationist path. Beyond the Wall, a vast, snow-covered wilderness independent from the Iron Throne and separated from the Seven Kingdoms by the Wall. It is inhabited by tribes of people known as wildlings, who often attempt to raid along the Bay of Seals or the Bay of Ice or climb over the Wall for the same purposes.